The race to 5G is on, and the battle for talent is getting fierce. Welcome to 5G Talent Talk with Carrie Charles, a podcast dedicated to helping you face the future workforce head on. Navigate this challenging talent landscape with innovative strategies to attract, retain, and engage people in this new world of work. Only here on 5G Talent Talk with Carrie Charles, CEO of Broadstaff Talent Solutions.
Thanks for joining me today on 5G Talent Talk. I'm Carrie Charles, your host, and today I have with me Tonya Stopke. She is the Senior Vice President of Worldwide Technology. Tonya, thanks for joining me. I'm really actually very excited about this conversation.
Thanks for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Yes. So you talk about yourself first. I want to know a little bit more about you, how you got into the industry, how you got to your seat today. I mean, you've been, you're very, very accomplished, and we're going to hear a lot more about that later. But what's your journey?
Oh, gosh. Well, nobody wakes up thinking that they can't wait to be in telecom. At least I'm pretty certain of that. My childhood dream was not to be leading the communications service provider division for Worldwide Technology, but here we are. And it's been an interesting journey. So I've been with Worldwide for over 18 years, if you can believe it. I'm sure, like many people, you never think that you're going to start your career essentially with one company and last as long as I have, but somehow they haven't kicked me out yet, which I guess is a good thing. And, I've had a number of roles at Worldwide, and leading into it, again, you don't get a job as an entry-level person at a company doing order entry thinking that one day you'll land in the seat where I am today. But it's been an interesting journey, and one that really started for me a very, very long time ago. And when you and I were kind of prepping for this, it sort of slipped out. I started my life in a trailer park. And I think that that's something that, for a long time I was kind of embarrassed to talk about. And now I look back on it and I think, oh my gosh, that was one of the greatest gifts that God could have given me, because it's given me the opportunity to continue to learn and grow, and really sort of that drive and tenacity, I think, some days that really keeps me going. And I was standing in a meeting last week, and I was talking to one of our heads of AI, and we were talking about it. He said, you know what, me too. And I started thinking about it, and some of the most successful people I know have come from rather humble upbringings, right? Not necessarily something that you have to be successful, but sort of an interesting part. And I think that that's part of the core DNA of who I am. And, it starts with as simple as trying to sell stationery in my neighborhood, door to door, babysitting when you're 12 years old and having 8 kids that you're sort of command, care, and custody. And then growing over time, like many people, waitressing, all of those things, leadership. But I really had this idea that I was going to be an attorney. And I am so thankful that I did not become one, because I'm not sure I was cut out for it, to be honest with you. And I'm really certain that technology is the place where I was meant to be. But, I'd say one common theme throughout all of this for me has been my mom and her drive. And, she's got a fascinating story that I won't go into today, but suffice it to say that she's overcome more obstacles than just about anybody I know. And having her sort of in the background telling me I can do it, and you really go figure it out, sissy. And if anybody can make it happen, it's you. And so I think that that's how you get from the trailer park to, the office.
So incredible. And by the way, I have to share this with you. I don't even think I shared this with you before, but I grew up in a trailer park too.
Exactly.
I'm telling you, yes, the best people came from a trailer park. I swear.
Right.
I agree with you. So talk a little bit more about, and do a brief introduction on Worldwide Technology.
Yes. So we have been in business since 1990, a very small, humble beginning that now is a $20 billion global company. And I laugh when our chairman, Dave Stewart, said, Tonya, let me tell you why we named it Worldwide. And it's because I have a vision that we're going to be worldwide one day. And, it's come so far. When I started, we had less than 1,000 employees, and now we're well past 10,000. And we do everything under the sun, it feels like at times, around high tech. It's hard sometimes to be really focused on what it is we do great, but I would say today we're leading in innovation around AI. We've been in the AI business for well over 10 years now. We just weren't calling it AI. We were calling it big data. And we focus on three main business segments. So I'm in the global service provider division. We have a global enterprise division, and then we have our public sector division. And so those three areas focus on driving business and technology outcomes, leveraging all of our great partnerships with top OEMs across the globe, the Ciscos, the HPEs, the Dells, the Intels, NVIDIAs of the world. And together we help customers on that journey from idea to outcome.
So you just got back from Mobile World Congress. You mentioned AI, right?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
And I know we're on a, what's called a 5G podcast, and we talk about so much more, but you had mentioned to me that, that AI was a common theme, right, at Mobile World Congress this year?
It was fascinating, Carrie. Last year when we were there, it was still 5G, everything, 5G, and everybody's looking for the killer app, which I swear if I hear one more time. And we were trying to figure out the monetization of 5G, right? And so fast forward 1 year later, and every conversation had a component of AI. I don't think the phrase 5G was uttered once, which was fascinating to think about how quickly that changed, right? Because the last several years it was 5G, and when 5G gets here, and how are we going to monetize 5G? And this time it was, how are we going to leverage AI to be better in the world? How are we going to leverage AI to drive real meaningful outcomes? How are we going to leverage AI to be that sort of killer app, if you will, that will drive the service providers to the next level? And so very fascinating conversations. I'm really excited at what Worldwide can bring surrounding that AI discussion, and also a little crazy at times. We saw some pretty crazy robots and flying car prototypes and drones that deliver packages in the middle of cities, but very exciting to see how the conversation has shifted to AI.
So you said that one of the, specialties of WWT is, AI. And what are you doing there with AI? And are you serving service providers, or how are you really bringing AI to telecom?
Awesome conversation. So the first thing I would be, if I did not mention this, I'm pretty sure my CEO would have me, but we are making a $500 million investment into an AI proving ground. So pretty far advanced, I think, compared to some of our competitors. And I don't know that AI proving ground really summarizes what it is. And so this is a collaborative ecosystem where our customers, whether they're service providers, whether they're public sector or global enterprise, can come together and do everything from learn about, kick the tires on, and build solutions, meaningful solutions leveraging AI. And so you've got this proving ground. And then on top of that, you layer in the hundreds of data scientists and application designers, that developers that we have on staff. And so for service providers specifically, which is kind of my sweet spot, right? We're looking at ways that we can bring in AI outcomes to the conversation that will drive connectivity for our customers. So if you think about this, most of my big telecom customers, they're looking at, how do I drive more connections, more fiber? How do I create more private wireless solutions, fixed wireless solutions? And what's the driver behind that, right? And so although in our infancy, in terms of how we're addressing the service provider, we're really looking at those particular use cases that will help them do those things, right? So whether it be computer vision in a retail store, and how we use the data that we're collecting and run models around that to give outcomes, looking at it from a safety perspective, right? So object detection, whether it might be in a school or at a public venue like the Olympics is an example, early conversations on how we can leverage our partnerships, our data scientists, our AI practice to help drive a monetization conversation for not just our telecom customers, but all of our service provider customers.
Wow, exciting. So what's the story behind TBX?
Oh, one of my favorite conversations, one of my favorite topics. So when I started at Worldwide, we sort of created this little project that was going to help drive diversity spend for one of our top customers. And it really was sort of a drop ship program, if you will, that enabled their services we sent to CPE. And I will tell you, some days I would love to go back to just a CPE conversation because those were much easier. But fast forward, and as we grew the business, TBX is really a wholly owned subsidiary of Worldwide Technology, and that business focuses exclusively on the service providers' customers. So when you think of Worldwide, we're really driving business and technology outcomes for their internal use. This is what happens. We use this vehicle, this company, for when the service provider needs to sell to their customers. So it's sort of where we specialize. And so over the course of the last 18 years, really, we've transformed it to something that sort of operated more like a classic distribution into even more of a VAR at times, but still with that disty bent. So what does that mean? That means that when our customers go serve one of their enterprise customers or one of their government customers, one of their public sector customers, as an example, we're helping them craft solutions that they then go and sell. And that can be everything from, back office, bomb building, validation, solutioning, creation of that, kitting, white glove delivery service, and even some level of ongoing support where they need it. But really the key focus with TBX is to drive, going back to my monetization conversation, drive a financial impact for our end customers, for our service provider customers.
Got it. And you've been at WWT now for, I think you said 18 years, right? Yes. Okay. Yeah. And the employee count went from 1,000 to over 10,000 since you've been there, right? And so that's unbelievable. How do you maintain your culture? And I say you, but I'm talking about WWT through that level of growth over 18 years. I mean, I saw that WWT was on the Fortune 100's best companies to work for list 12 years in a row.
Yes.
And that's unbelievable. So how do you do that?
With a very intentional focus on maintaining our core values, our 8 key business concepts, really our integrated leadership and management practice, if you will. And so this starts at the top. Our executive team deeply believes in those core values and the way that we operate. There is a constant focus on maintaining that culture. And I think, as we look at that next layer down of leaders and even below that, all of us own that culture, right? We all are responsible for making sure that it sustains. And it is fascinating to me when I see how much has changed and how we've been able to maintain that. And sure, things have changed. There were activities, I'll call it, in our early days that would probably be frowned upon today, although they were fun at the time, to a little bit more professional environment, I'll call it. But what hasn't changed is the foundation of who we are. And we hire for that. And that's important to us. And so if you think about our belief in trust, right? The speed of trust. So if you say the wrong thing to a person with high trust, it's going to be okay. If you say the absolute right thing in an environment where there's probably low trust, it could be taken in a different way. And so when you think about how we interact with each other, how we interact with our customers, how we interact with our partners, at the core of all of that is treating everyone with dignity, respect, kindness, compassion, but most importantly, that focus on building that layer of trust, right? And so whether you are Jim Kavanaugh, our CEO, and you're driving the importance of trust throughout the organization, or whether you're one of our inside sales reps, or you're one of our integration engineers over in our facilities, that is important and critical throughout. And those people who embody that and continue to grow that and maintain that in our culture are why we're there on that list every single year. And you got to hire for it. I think this is probably the most important thing that I can do as a leader, is not just making sure that I demand and insist and foster and maintain that culture, but then also hiring for it. And I've had a couple of interesting conversations with hires over the last couple of years, and I'll go through the whole thing. This is our culture. This is who we are. They go through a number of interviews to make sure it is a good culture fit. And then I always wait about 30 days in or 60 days in, and I ask them, is it as advertised? Because, what I'm saying here, right? Like I think, this is pretty great. And I'm in the middle of it. And I sort of, maybe drank the Kool-Aid being here for as long as I have. But but it's very important that I understand, is it as advertised for those new people who come into the culture? Because the culture is embodied not just by people who've been here for 20 plus years, but from people who've been here for 2 months and 2 years. And so a resounding yes, as advertised, is the answer that we get, which I think is good. And it's really important to me that we never let that fade, because that's really the core of who we are. And I think the greatest reason why we've been so successful.
You know, you said the speed of trust. This is going to be weird or sound weird, but
let's go for it.
No, seriously, this morning, okay, I got up and I found this book called The Speed of Trust, and I ordered it. And and you literally just said it, by Stephen Covey, I guess, Jr. I can't, this is a sign to me that this is the right, and a sign to every single person listening to this episode that I guess we all need to buy this book, right?
I love it. Maybe we should get some compensation for that. I'm only
right.
Maybe we can get them to sponsor your podcast.
Yeah,
you know, it's so true, and I think that's true whether it's in the work environment, whether it's with your family. Trust is just so important, and you don't have to worry about, is this person coming after me? Is this person, looking for ways to undermine me? And then you think, this person's in the boat with me, or this team is in the boat with me. What can we go do together if we know we trust each other? And there's a safe environment where you can fail fast, you can throw ideas out there and be open. And so it's a really powerful thing to make sure that you have trust in your core team and in the extended teams as well.
Well said. Well said. So WWT has a serious commitment to diversity and inclusion. Talk about that for a minute.
Oh, gosh. So we are Black owned, which is, I think we're probably the largest Black owned company in the United States. And so it's been in our DNA since day one. Being here 18 years, as I've said, I have had the opportunity to see that commitment continue to grow and develop. And we are very focused on an environment of diversity and inclusion, no matter what that inclusion looks like, right? And so I personally have had a wonderful journey and experience here with that. I can't always say that outside of Worldwide, unfortunately, and not that we're perfect with it by any stretch of the imagination, but it's a company that focuses truly on the advancement of the person and really identifying their time and their talents and their treasures that they can serve the organization with, and putting us in an opportunity to succeed. I don't think that I was put in this position because I'm a woman. I was put in this position because I deserved to be here, and I had a great team supporting me that helped along with those successes. So, I'd say it's as advertised. It really is. And can we do a better job with it? Of course. I mean, there's always greater opportunity, but from our ERG groups to our smaller communities that we set up for the leaders to continually look for and identify the right candidates for the role. And it's really important for us to maybe sometimes look a little harder, I'd say, for those diverse candidates, but it's not that we're not out there looking for it and driving that, that message. But similar to the culture, Carrie, it's not just about what the executive team is doing and what's in our formal programs. It comes down into the field as well. And so it comes to my leadership and what my teams are going. And as they're looking for those next candidates, are they driving the research, or driving the right search for the right candidates? And then also, once they're hired, making sure that they feel a part of that ecosystem, right? And so I think, again, we can always do a better job, but I think we've done a good job at continuing to advance that and drive that mission for us.
Tonya, how do you, Tonya, support women in tech? Because I know you're passionate about this.
Yeah. It's so crazy. So, I think if you look at it historically, women have not done an awesome job of pulling up other women. And so I'll sort of give you an example. I think men have always historically been so great at, hey, let's go grab a round of golf, or let's go grab a beer and sit and talk. And they develop these relationships that aren't necessarily focused on the day-to-day job. And with women, especially early in career, we weren't really, well, I'll give you an example. You could not charge a manicure. Your credit card was blocked for taking someone to go have a manicure. And I was sitting there thinking, my God, I can go golf and spend 3x what I'd spend. Can I just go take this, person out to have a manicure? We've worked on that. But women need to do a better job of bringing up other women alongside of them. And I think if you look at it, in the past, we've had to compete. There was one seat at the table, right? And now there are many seats at the table. And I forget who it was. I was talking with one woman and she's like, once you get on that elevator and you go up, it is your job to send that elevator back down and pull up the next person. And so, what does it mean for me to support women in technology? There are formal things. We do our Women in Tech events, and I executive sponsor that, participate on the panels, hosting, whatever that may be. But I like to work it a little bit more one-on-one, right? So developing a personal connection with someone, sharing my experiences. And that's the thing, you don't have to be formal all the time and formal mentorship programs and formal ERGs to support women. Sometimes it's as simple as taking them out for a manicure. Sometimes it's as simple as just picking up the phone and saying, hey, how are you doing? Because women have a different experience in corporate America, whether we like it or not, than men do. And so checking in on them, asking questions, how are you doing? Figuring out ways that you can help that person. The network. Oh my gosh, I wish I'd figured this thing out sooner, right? Men do an awesome job of this. Hey, can I introduce you to so-and-so? This person may be helpful. By the way, I've had many, many men in my career who have done that for me. You've got to meet this woman. She's amazing. You're going to love her. We don't always think about it though, which is crazy because women are the greatest nurturers and we have such a different thing that we can bring, qualities that we can bring to the workplace. We got to do a better job of being our own best advocates and bringing those alongside of us. So that's what I try to do. Sometimes it's formal, more oftentimes it's not.
I couldn't agree more. If you were to give, let's say one or two pieces of advice to a woman who really wants career growth in tech, what would you say?
Oh gosh, there are so many things I would say, so many things I wish I would have done differently. And, you hear a lot of the same kind of use your voice, speak up, advocate for yourself. I think those are all really good things. My first piece of advice would be know yourself, be true to yourself. And I mean this in the sense of early in my career, people would say, oh, this is so great. You look like a woman, but you think and act like a man. And I sort of felt like I had to do that for a while, to establish credibility. And, coming from the trailer park, it's not like I had a network of people who had been around me, the second person in my family to graduate college. And so I was always trying to be something that I wasn't, something that I thought everyone wanted me to be. And it wasn't until I really settled into myself and started figuring out, okay, this is what I like. This is what I'm good at. Don't try to be somebody that you're not. All of a sudden, I was finding opportunities to be more of myself. And then that was leading to greater success. So I'd say the first thing would be true for anyone. Know yourself and be true to yourself, and then figure out how you use your time, talents, and treasures to be successful, right? And whatever that looks like. And then in the second one, I'd say do find an advocate, right? And that can look like or be anyone, find an advocate, but you do have to make sure, I would say, advocate for others, right? Because here's what I find. Every time you are going out and you're serving someone else, or you are making a connection for someone else, or you are helping someone advance their career, I can't explain it to you, but it comes back threefold every single time. And so, it's less of a focus outward on myself, knowing yourself, yes, for sure, but then a focus on how do I advance and advocate for others. And I found that somewhere in the midst of that, you find out that there are great opportunities that become available to you as well.
I've heard that before myself, that, I look like a woman and think and act like a man. So, and it's true, because you have to, and I'm now I don't even know if I'd say my late 50s, but I'm now me, and yes, authentically me. And I'm more successsul now than I've ever been, just being authentically me. And I think I wish women would really get that in their 20s. I talked to my daughter about that, and young women. I say, look, just be you. That's what's going to make you shine. That's what's going to make you successful. Don't ever be ashamed or afraid to be 100% you.
It's so funny that you say that. So on the beginning of our trip to Barcelona for Mobile World Congress, one of my very close best friends, her daughter is living in Barcelona, early 20s. and her best friend is living there, which I thought was so amazing. I wish I would have had that opportunity, taken that opportunity when I was younger. But we were sitting there over a glass of rosé, beautiful Barcelona sunshine in the afternoon. And I was like, I got to tell you, this side of 40 is awesome. And it's not that everything's rainbows and sunshines, but it's like, I don't give as much of a care, I think, as I used to, which is sort of a superpower in itself, if you think about it, because I'm less worried about what everyone's thinking about me. And I'm more worried about, how do I solve the problem? Or how do I make this better in some way? Or how do I create a better, work-life balance, which I believe is complete bullshit. Probably can't say that word. But this side of 40 has gotten me to the point where I'm no longer trying to be somebody I'm not. I don't sweat the small stuff as much as I have in the past, not that it's not there. And I'm also taking this different approach, which I think I would have been afraid to in the past, where it's like, I can't control your reactions and I can't control your emotions. So if you look at 2023 was a very challenging year. In our business, in telecom specifically, it was hit kind of hard. And so I'm in sales, right? It's a, what have you done for me lately? Your budget's not hit. You're not doing this right. It's like the laundry list of things I'm failing at miserably in work. And I finally figured out, it's like, I can't control anyone else's response. I can control mine. I can think about how I'm going to make this better. I can build the right strategies. I can say this strategy failed, but the only thing that's within my control is my reaction. And if somebody else doesn't like that, well, I'm sorry. I'll do better. I'll take your advice. I'll figure it out. But I'm not going to get myself all spun out in a tailspin because you're spun out in tailspin. If that makes sense.
You are speaking to so many people right now. And, especially after 2023. And, I really, really relate to everything you're saying. And on the balance side, you are right. Yes, you can say it. And, let's talk about it for a minute, because I think that, we all, not just women, but men, we're looking for this thing called balance. And, with you, okay, so Tonya, you've been a single mom, 3 kids, executive. How in the world do you make all that work?
Coffee and wine.
I love it. Yes. Right. Yes. Good. Perfect answer. Perfect.
Oh gosh. In all sincerity, we have to have that village, I think. And the village looks a little different for everyone else. I am divorced. I have an amazing ex-husband and father to my kids, which has been successful for us, right? We make it work in the best way we can. We have the village of the parents who help us on volleyball practice and getting the kids to softball practice and baseball and all of the things. And then we have the family community. It's crazy at times when I think about it, Carrie, how much we're expected to accomplish in a day. And just a trip to Barcelona, you quickly realize that probably the rest of the world, they really work to live, whereas we live to work. And there's got to be some give and take, I think, in that. And so I don't have balance. I maybe can say I have a balance in the sense of a month, right? So you only have so many hours in a day. And so where do you prioritize? And some days work's going to get my priority, and some days my family's going to get my priority, and some days my girlfriends and I are going to, have that type of priority. But I do think it's a little bit different for women still, unfortunately, in a I'll call it a stereotypical sense, right? Because we carry the invisible load, and it's a podcast, right? I'll take this podcast. And so I'm sure, I know there've been many men on your podcast, and they probably hop in the shower, quick little get ready, and they're on camera, right? And so I don't have a glam squad at my house, but it's a good, here's how morning look like. It's wake one kid up, and then it's quick hit the gym while she's getting ready, and then it's feed that kid, get her on the bus, wake up the next 2, and repeat that cycle. And so that's a 2-hour window that happens before I even get to a point where I'm going to get myself ready and then do my hair, do my makeup, and be ready to show up. Versus my male peers, for better or for worse, they hop up, they maybe do their workout, a quick shower, and then there's someone there to take care of their kids, or their kids have grown. And so that's fine. I choose this job. I choose to be in this situation, and I can handle it, I guess to the best of my ability. But it's still the invisible load that we carry, right? Because the majority of working moms still carry the majority of the responsibility in the home. And if there's 2 working parents in the home, or if there's, one that stays home, there is still the majority of the workload statistically proves that women carry it. And so we have to address that. We have to be aware of it. And my leadership's done a really good job of asking questions, trying to be aware of it at the very least. But, at the end of the day, I chose this career, and I talk openly with my kids, right, about it and these choices that I made. And without the village, it wouldn't be possible.
Oh, so many things in what you just said. But they always say, if you want something done, give it to a busy person, right? And I truly believe that women who have this, especially moms who are working and with all these responsibilities, they are just set up to get stuff done, right? And so even though it's hectic and even though it's a heavy, heavy load, they're set up like that. So, they know how to juggle. They know how to create systems and structures and villages. And, they know how to create all of this around them so they can be successful sometimes in even a shorter amount of time, right? So I couldn't agree more with you. And the fact that it takes a village, I do think that we need to get help and we need to ask for help. And it's not necessarily always hiring someone, but it is asking for help, saying, hey, can you, I'll carpool to the practices, this week, you do it next week. Yes. So I think that's super important. But thanks for sharing all of that, because I think, again, it's a reminder. We all need to hear it. And, like you said, I chose this. And I love the way you take responsibility and you stand in it powerfully. And amazing. I absolutely love that. I think our time is probably up. I could talk to you forever. This has just been such a fun conversation and also very valuable. And I know I have learned a lot. I've gotten some really nice reminders, especially the one about the book, The Speed of Trust, that I know I'm happy I ordered now. But can you share WWT's website? And also, I'm sure the jobs page is there too for people who may want to inquire about opportunities.
Oh, so we are growing like crazy. We are hiring like crazy. Our HR team does an incredible job of keeping our website up to date and putting as quickly as they can through the process. I will take a second to say with Worldwide, it takes a minute to get hired. We like to protect that culture and do our due diligence, and we encourage our candidates to do their due diligence on us as well. Not every company, or no company is perfect, and ours certainly isn't either, but I can tell you it's as advertised. And if you're interested in joining us, go to www.wwt.com, and our careers page is open, ready for you to take a look and ready for you to apply. So,
wow, fantastic.
See you soon.
Yes, Tonya, I love your energy. And this has really been a valuable episode that I'm sure I'm going to get some incredible feedback on. So thank you for joining me today.
Oh, thanks for having me. Thanks for letting me share this platform. And I hope that it helps a little bit. And I would encourage any woman who's out there, reach out if there's something I can do to help. But the biggest thing I'd say is go be an advocate for someone else. Go do the right things for you and for your family. And man, this side of 40 is great. So I hope you get here.
And 50.
And this side of 50. I'll leave you with this. It sort of is my hashtag, and I didn't know that it was catching on until someone pointed it out to me the other day, but it's so fun to be me. And so whatever it is you do, go make it be fun.
Oh, it's so fun to be me. I love that.
It's fun.
I'm gonna steal that. I'm gonna steal it. Thank you, Tonya. This is wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to another informative episode of 5G Talent Talk, brought to you by RCR Wireless News, Telecom Careers, and Broadstaff Talent Solutions. As we advance into the future, we promise to bring you the resources you need to navigate this ever-changing landscape of 5G to help you attract, retain, and engage people in this new world of work. To access the show notes or leave a review, visit broadstaffglobal.com. Until next time.